There's a negative perception you have to work against when you're selling on Facebook Marketplace. Are you working in your business or are you working on your business? So let me ask you a question. Let's say you could make $100,000 net income. You have to do some stuff here and there, but the business basically runs itself. Or you're working full time in the business, but you're making $250,000 net income. What do you prefer? There are really two levers that you can pull on to make more money in your business. It's either you flip more couches or you make. All right, Leon, thanks for hopping on with me today. I would love it if you could give a quick intro about who you are and how long you've been couch flipping.
Well, I'm Leon. I am based in Vancouver, Canada. I have been doing couch flipping since 2021, roughly around August, so pretty much 2 years. And well, what a better place to have this meeting than in the storage unit.
Awesome. So one thing I like to do with all of the couch flippers that I meet with is to start by looking at the numbers. Where are we at financially? And then just making sure that we're on the same page with respect to what those numbers mean. So I know, I mentioned that there's the income and expense tracker that we've created and provided to our flippers, but you have your own version of that. That's totally fine. Could you share that with me so I can take a look?
Yeah, send it to the chat of this meeting, I think.
I got it.
So it's in Spanish, but I can guide you over. The main one that you want to see is dashboard.
Great. So Venta, your total sales.
Yep.
Got it. And then Compra, that's your cost of goods, what you spent, right? To purchase. Yep. You're doing it the right way. You're doing it the right way. So for our English speaking audience, right, your total sales, your Venta, that's your gross revenue. From gross revenue, you subtract your cost of goods, which is your compra, and then you're left with your gross profit. And from your gross profit, you subtract your operating expenses, then you're left with your net income. And so, like the only difference between how like a normal P&L is structured and how you have it here is that you have separated out your expenses, but you're not doing gross profit calculation, which is okay. It's not ideal actually, but because you want to tease out what is part of your unit cost and what is part of the operating expense of your business. It's typically helpful to bucket those separately. But the important thing is what your gross sales are. And at the end of the month, you know what money you're putting like in your pocket. So what I can see here is that July, you actually had an amazing month relative.
Yeah, I did full-time July.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I have also now some other people working over here, so that's kind of the reason. I'm expecting to August to be better than July.
Yeah, I can see like you moved, you bought about 15, you're buying about 15 couches a month, and then like in July you ratcheted that all the way up. You sold about 15 a month, and then
July I buy 39 and I sell 35.
Got it. And then your average sale price is, let's say, $640. Your average purchase price is $271 in June. I'm looking at June.
Yep.
And then your average gross margin is $368.
Yes, on June.
I understand the numbers that I'm looking at here. Okay, good. So we're roughly calibrated on your business. So other than the amount of time that you're putting into flipping, is there a difference in your approach from June to July?
Yeah, so on July, I went basically full in, which means I upgraded. I have more space. I have more people working with me. So that has been good. I have been going for higher ticket couches. I have been selling couches over, like I used to sell usually not over 1,000. Now last month has been like that. These 5-6 days that I have been into August, I have already sold 4 over 1,000, which, as you can see, about February, March was unthinkable. But now I have been like upgrading. I have been learning a lot from the community as well. And well, that's one of the main things. I'm doing higher tickets and I'm doing higher numbers as well.
Right.
Because I got help now. Yeah.
Your average gross profit per flip, $700. Really good. So the thing I am curious about is your operating expenses. So what exactly is going in here? So like in June, for example, your operating expenses are $4,214. What exactly does that consist of?
So there is another lot of other tabs. If you go to one that is named Egresos Junio, that's where I keep track of my expenses of that specific month. About June, most of it went into gas, into rent, and supplies, as I'm looking over here.
Mhm.
I also got um, some fixings that I did to the car. I spent some money on the car and insurance. Yeah, those were my main, because I paid insurance for 3 months,
Mhm.
and I just put everything on June.
Got it. And then you have like contractor costs in here as well. So that was my other question is, all right, you went to Mexico for a month and a half, but you're still making sales, you're still making purchases.
Yes.
How exactly is it happening? So you have figured out how to run the business somewhat remotely, right? It's not going
That's
to be at
correct.
full capacity without you actually there, but you have like a system in place.
That's correct. Yeah.
Cool. And so the people that you have on board, what exactly are they doing for you?
So right now I have someone that is doing full-time cleaning. This person is just here in the garage. He's just cleaning, doing all the reparations that we need. Uh, he's just doing that function for me. And then I have someone else right now, which is basically being my personal driver. I have been, I can't drive, and at the same time, I can't search for better deals. It's so I have figured out that it's better to have someone driving me around, and that person is also always helping me to, get the couches in. It's better to have two people also, makes everything faster. If you normally take, let's say, 10 minutes loading, 20 minutes loading by yourself, it maybe takes just 10 minutes if you have someone else saving you some time. So what I have done is I have this person driving me all around, and I am on the co-pilot seat, just searching for deals, talking with people, watching videos, and whatever I can do to learn more about this.
Got it. All right. So I think I'm up to date on where you're at with your business. So thank you for that overview. Very helpful to see how your operations are. And what I would say is when it comes to flipping a couch and making money, growing a couch flipping business, there are two reasons you make money. First is labor that you're providing. So the fact that you're willing to go pick up a couch, you're going to clean it, store it, take photos, deliver it to the next person. All of these services have value, right? And you can pay someone for that labor. You can hire a mover, you can hire a cleaner, and there's an hourly rate or there's a project rate that you get paid. You perform that labor as part of the flip, and that's why you get some money. You're providing a service. The other reason you make money is because of arbitrage. Your ability to spot deals and then sell that deal to a buyer. Simply put, your ability to buy low, sell high. And that in and of itself is something that you make money on, right? So you find a couch, it's worth $4,000. It's listed or you can negotiate it down to a price of $200. And then you relist it on Marketplace and you sell it for $1,000. There's $800 in arbitrage value there. And so you can pull on both levers. And some people, they lean more towards like, I want to be doing the work. And that's what I prefer. And I'm going to outsource the sourcing. I'm going to hire virtual assistants. They're going to message and communicate with the customers. And I'm going to focus on inspecting the couch, repairing it, cleaning it, doing sort of the physical labor component. There are other people that take more of your approach, right? Which is to sort of sit on the side of arbitrage. And there's no right answer. It's really what works for you. And so it sounds like you've started to identify this is the highest leverage use of my time. And that's where you're focusing your time and energy. So I like that.
Definitely, I have seen better deals and more, and I have been doing better since I put my time into learning and into getting to improve my game on, for example, things as negotiation. Like I have been reading, I have been spending more time on watching videos or watching posts from other people, getting like this type of meetings with you. Right now, there is people working on them. I don't have to be there. and I can be here learning new topics. So definitely I have seen increase in productivity for sure.
Absolutely. And I think the approach that you're taking, if I were to get into couch flipping myself, and actually I have been, we've been starting to flip a few couches at Ivy ourselves, just to be more connected to customer, and also because there's a big opportunity out there that we think that we can tap into. The approach that I've taken is somewhat similar. I want to stay more on the side of arbitrage. It's a higher leverage use of my time and better use of my overall skill set than it is for me to be like in a storage unit cleaning the couch. And the simple difference there is, are you working in your business or are you working on your business? If you focus on more of the arbitrage aspects, you can spend more time working on your business as opposed to working in your business. If you're cleaning couches and you're reliant on your labor to get those couches clean, you can't go to Mexico for a month and a half, right? You gotta be in Canada. So
yeah.
Okay, so the initial reason you reached out to me, and the overall point of our discussion, is you've got your business to a certain point and you want to take it to that next level. So what are your goals? Where are you trying to get to? In what time?
Yeah. Well, I want to have everything working without I want to have a basic structure, and where if I want to spend some time here, it's to get some extra money, but not to get money. So I want it to be working by itself in the near future. That's what I'm aiming for, having a business.
You want to automate the business as much as possible.
That's correct.
So what does that mean to you? What things are you doing today that you don't want to be doing in the future that can run on its own without your involvement?
Yeah, well, I am at the same time that I'm doing this, I'm a full-time student. Well, I want to focus on finishing a year, and I want to also focus because since I'm an immigrant, I don't have yet my residency. So I want to work on that. I want to have more time for that. That's my personal goal, and that's what I want to do with my time. But also, I feel like if I keep figuring out, I feel like I can settle this to be working and automated next 4 to 5 months.
So let me ask you a question. Let's say you could make $100,000 net income from your flipping business, but it's fully automated. So you're making $100,000 net income, fully automated. You have to do some stuff here and there, but the business basically runs itself, and maybe you're putting in 5-10 hours of work a week, right? Mm-hmm. Or you're working full time in the business, but you're making $250,000 net income. What do you prefer?
In the moment that I am right now in my life, I prefer the 100,000 right now. It's because my personal way I want to conduct my career and my personal interests align more with other industries. However, I have seen this as much. It has been more for me like a learning experience. I have been working a lot on my personal relationships, on this has been a good challenge for me, and I like it, and I want to continue with this. But I definitely don't see myself in 5 years or my way is gonna go on another direction. However, I recognize the potential, and I want to make it work. And I want to make it work for also the people that is already working with me. That's my personal. Yeah. However, I am willing to put the next year into this as well. Like I am talking about the future. I'm talking about 5 years. Mm-hmm. But the next, if you talk with me about the next year, of course, I want 250 and do it that way.
Okay, so one lesson I've learned in entrepreneurship: you solve the problems that are in front of you today. So right now, it seems like you don't actually have this problem of, I need the business to be fully automated. You have that problem in about a year. And actually, we don't know if you have that problem in a year, because you may just have a different problem at that time, right? Because let's say you build the business, you've made $250,000, right? Do you really want to keep going down the road with your couch flipping business and trying to figure out how to make it automated and passive income? Or do you just build as much liquidity as possible while you're in the game, and then you take that liquidity and turn it into and start playing a different game? Viable options, right? So think about the contrast here. One world, you're trying to build a system that generates passive income, and you continue to operate the business in some capacity in perpetuity, like, or, for a longer time frame, next 5-10 years, you're still going to be flipping couches. Maybe you're not as involved, but you're still doing a little bit of that. The alternative is make as much money as possible right now, save, build liquidity, and then now you have capital to invest in your next venture. Now, when I lay it out like that, what appeals to you more?
Second one, build some money and then move to the next goal.
Cool. So that's interesting, right? When we started the conversation about what are your goals, it's like, well, I want to build a system that's automated and passive. But as we're digging deeper, it seems like that's not really the goal at all. The goal really is, I want to make $250,000 now so that I can take that money, save it, invest it, go start another business. And so this doesn't.
What I would like to is to have this running for as long as possible. But my main, that's what I'm trying to explain. My main objective of the money that I am collecting from here and that I will be collecting in the next year is to start my next venture. That doesn't mean I don't want this to keep going,
right?
And that doesn't mean I'm gonna shut it off and then completely go to the next thing. What I would like to do is, have this working out and then investing the money onto my next venture and then putting my focus into that next venture. But that doesn't mean I don't want to keep having this working out.
The reason I throw down is, in order for me to help you figure out an action plan, first we have to figure out where you're trying to go. And the worlds that we're describing necessitate different actions. In one world, all about how do I make as much money as possible today. In another world, it's how do I build a scalable and automated system for my business. And at times, these two directions will conflict with each other. Ideally, you do both, right? You build something that's more automated and scalable and profitable. But really, if it's a question of well, I'm only in college for a year and I'm not going to be a couch flipper forever. Right now, your goal is how do I make as much money as possible? And over the next year, while you're still a student, you have capacity, you have bandwidth, and you have the willingness to put in the work to do what it takes to get to that level. Did I get it right?
Yeah, that's how it's going. Yeah.
So let's get concrete. The goal is, how do I make as much money as possible? How much money do you want to make?
Well,
by the end of the year.
This year.
We got August, September, October, November, December left. We got 5 months left in the year, roughly.
Well, basically everything that I get from here, it's not for my personal use, because I already got covered that from another thing that I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically everything that I get here is for savings. If I get 1,000, it goes directly for savings. If I get 2,000, for savings. So I will say I want to do 10K months. Close August on 10K and finish December on 10K. And I would like to do it consistent. So what I would like to do is consistent work. As you can see on August, on July, I already almost closed 10,000. I want to continue. I don't want to go any lower. Even if I have my school, so I'm going to start going back to college. I want this venture to keep going the same route with the help of my team over here.
Got it. Okay. So your goal is to consistently generate $10,000 net income every month.
Yes, and I want to also get my webpage is on the way. I'm starting to get sales improvements. I want to build the brand as well. I want to start getting more connection with my clients. I have some people that come back, some people that recommend me, and I feel like in the last couple months I haven't been really using all those people that I have been meeting. Also, I have getting to know plenty of amazing people. So I want to use those connections and get to connect more with people. So that's also something I want to, not just the money. I want to be able to provide a better solution for people. And also I want to connect deeply with people along the way.
Got it. Doing some math here, right? In July, you roughly hit your goal of $10,000 net income in July. However, you were dealing in lower margin flips.
Yeah.
And so you're buying the flips for about the same amount, but you're selling them for a lot less, about $200 less per flip, about $250 less per flip, actually. Now, in order to get same result, you need to flip a lot less couches, right? And I'll tell you exactly what that is actually. With your new gross margins, you need to flip.
My gross margins right now are in 460, I think. 460 or 470. So yeah, I have to increase that number to make it work. Yeah.
All right. I think what this means is you can flip a lot fewer couches. If your gross margin for August is about $700, your gross margin is $450. To be fair, in August, you've done 6 flips. And
I haven't recorded the last 3 days. I sold other 4 couches.
Great.
I have to be fair, I haven't recorded. But let's work with the numbers that we already have on display.
Okay, you know your numbers better than I do. How many couches do you think you need to flip in August at your average gross margin in order to hit your net profit goal of $10,000?
I think I should be on the range of 30 to 40 couches, and I should be. So it depends on my margin, but it's in the range from 30 to 40 couches.
Let's say 35. I mean, so roughly you're gonna have to do the same number of transactions.
The same number, but this time with 150. I have to raise my average gross from every couch to make 35 work. If I don't raise it, I will have to do around 40 to 45.
So I don't understand why that's the case though, because in July you sold 35 couches and you did around 9,400 in net income. And so if all you did is repeat July, then you'd be in that net income range of $10,000 a month, right?
Yeah,
so,
I will say the reason there is because I am inquiring in a little more expense. As I mentioned, I expand starting in August. I expand. I got full time. The new person is now full time, 6 days a week. So it's an extra salary and it's extra space. We're doing more movements, a little more gas. That's why I will say I will have to sit down to make sure the exact numbers. But I'm giving a little upper just to have a bigger margin.
Yeah, it's always good to have more margin. And you're right, there are really 2 levers that you can pull on to make more money in your business. It's either you flip more couches or you make more money per flip, right? And either lever works. But the lever that you are leaning on right now is to make more money per flip. And that's not a bad place to be, right? Because there's just some mechanics. There are mechanics that you have to deal with when you physically go pick up a couch and move it to the next location. There are only so many of those that you can do in a month, especially if you're relying on the labor of other people. Get more money from your couches. Why not do that? But it sounds like you've already started to figure that out. So my question for you is, what do you think is keeping you, or what do you think is going to be your greatest challenge in hitting your net income goal on a monthly basis?
I'll say it's school. But in here, I feel like, I really trust the people that I have working with me. I feel confident that we can.
Sure. It's not that you don't have confidence that you can do it. Otherwise, that wouldn't be your goal, right? That would be like your dream, not your goal.
Yeah.
But, even if you are confident that you can do something, a smart business leader, right, is going to have awareness of the challenges that are, he has to overcome in order to achieve those goals. So what do you think the obstacles are?
I have one that I just thought of. As well, since you can see and rest already, I am not very familiar with over $1,000 flips. So it's also kind of new for me. I'm getting to buy big couches, modular couches. Maybe some of them might not work the way I originally thought. So this learning process is obviously gonna cost me some, not wise decisions, or it's gonna cost me some bad flips, maybe. So
that's great. No, that's great awareness of problem that you're gonna encounter. And going back to this idea of you make money flipping couches for 2 reasons. One is the labor, the other is the arbitrage. The arbitrage is all about your understanding of what is underpriced in the market, right? And therefore what can be sold for a higher price. So let's think about this, right? The way in which most people come to know what they can make money on when buying a couch just comes from trial and error. So the name of the game of couch flipping is arbitrage. It's about your ability to spot a deal, figure out what can I buy low and sell high? What is the spread? And then how do I, increase that spread over time? That usually happens through trial and error. So you buy a couch, maybe it's like a West Elm sectional, you bought it for $200, you listed it for $800 and you made $600. And then you're like, you did that one time. You're like, well, if I did it one time, I could do it a second time. You do it a second time, it works again. You do it a third time. And now all of a sudden you have this knowledge, right? I bought this West Elm, and if I pick it up for 200, I can flip it for 8. I can make $600 each time. So generally, if you think about the repertoire of your flips, of all of your past experiences, there are heuristics that you've been developing through trial and error that look a lot like that. One way in which you can start learning about how to be successful with these higher margin flips is to just try some out and be comfortable with some level of risk. Understanding, yes, I'm going to put money into this couch. Yes, it potentially could stay in storage for a little bit of time, but you always have equity in the couch. Even if you're not going to make money on the flip, you could always sell it for the value of what you purchased it. So that's one simple answer. You have to be comfortable with some level of risk in order to gain relevant experience about what you can. And what I would do then is you don't go all or nothing. You don't all of a sudden start buying couches for $1,000 with the expectation that you're going to flip them for $2,000 because it might not work, right? So there's this question of risk management. What is a palatable level of risk when it comes to buying a couch? It might be that you can only afford to do that 1 or 2 times a month, right? Now, the upside is that you buy a couch for $1,000, you flip it for 2.3, which I think you did just the other day, right? Now you know it worked. And before, you're sitting in your storage unit on a couch you just paid $800 for, and you're like, well, I want to sell it for 1.8. I'm like, well, how do you know you can do that? It's like, well, I just bought a couch just like this, same brand. I sold it for 2.3, right? And so it's the same story that's emerging. You took a risk, that risk paid off, and that's helping inform some of your future decisions. So don't discount the power of trial and error. The other thing that I see happening all the time that I'm not as confident about as a solution, so observe it, but take it with a grain of salt, is look at what other people are doing. So this is what for some reason, this is like the default response. I understand why it's the default response for a lot of people. It's like, I'm not sure about a couch, or they just picked up a couch and they're like, in the no nonsense Facebook group, they're like, should I buy this couch? What do you guys think? And then, or like, how much would you guys list this couch for? Now, it's good in a sense, like, especially if you're just starting out, look at what's successful for other people and try to model that behavior. But there are some problems there. The first problem being, now you're just doing what everyone else is doing. And whatever gets talked about, now these are sort of the popular styles of couches, and everyone is competing for the same inventory. So no one has an edge. So yes, these are generally good with respect to different markets, and you can make money there, but it's probably not going to help differentiate your business from the competition. The other problem is different markets operate differently. So if you try and take big 5-piece gray sectionals that are really popular in Dallas, Texas, and you apply that logic to New York City, it's probably not going to work as well because of just space constraints. Yeah, exactly. Like, people live in shoeboxes in New York City. They don't have room for 5-piece sectionals. At the same time, you have a lot of rich people in New York City, right? And so I'm working with the couch flipper here. Someone gave us a $12,000 restoration hardware couch for free.
Cool.
For free. The guy's rich. He's moving. He's like, I can't take it with me. And we're like, well, we'll come get it out of your hair. And he just gave it to us. There are pros and cons to each market.
Yeah.
And so if you just rely on the groupthink that's happening in these Facebook groups, you're never going to identify these opportunities, because at the end of the day, all answers devolve into like 3-piece gray sectionals when you ask the Facebook group. What should I get a 3-piece gray sectional, maybe a 4-piece. right?
Yeah.
It all sort of evolves into the same logic. Um, so here's the other thing that I think you should be mindful of as you contemplate how to sell higher margin couches. There is a negative perception that you have to work against when you're selling on Facebook Marketplace. So people go to Facebook Marketplace to buy things because they want deals. And they're generally willing to wade through some of the crap, right, in order to find those deals. But as a result, they're not willing to pay top dollar
No.
for products. And so if you buy a couch for $800 and you want to flip it for $1,800, you can definitely do it. There's enough reach on Facebook, offer up these different marketplaces that when you get in front of the right buyer with the right budget and they understand the value of what you have, they're willing to pick that up. Sometimes that's just timing, but the vast majority of people, the needs of the vast majority of people on these marketplaces are probably going to come in at a lower price point. We're talking more in that $500 to $800 range. And that's why people tend to stick to sectionals that they can flip for between 5 to 8, because it's priced to sell. It'll move quickly, it'll turn over more quickly. And there's value in that. There's value in turning over inventory quickly, keeping, things moving through your business as opposed to buying something and sitting on it for 2-3 months, right? And so if you want to get successful at selling expensive couches, you need to build a brand. You have to build an audience of people that know you, that will seek you out by name, that will talk positively about you, that will refer other customers to you, and you have to build a following. Luckily for you, you already have the inner mechanics. You already have the foundation in place to be successful in building a brand because you have the inventory, you have the people, you have the employees, you figured out the logistics, you have the processes, you have a real business. But the thing that is working against you is how you are selling and marketing your products has this sort of negative connotation attached to it. And if you start marketing through different channels, not through Marketplace, but like through an email list or through your own social media profiles, now people are willing to pay a little bit of a higher price because they know who they're dealing with. They have more of a positive affinity towards you. You're not just some random guy on Facebook Marketplace. And so they're happy to pay that $300-$400 extra compared to what they would be willing to pay on Facebook Marketplace if they didn't know you, right? Because now when they think of Leon, they're like, Leon means quality. Leon's going to treat me good. Leon's going to take care of me. He's going to make sure that I'm getting a couch with bed bugs. I'm not getting a couch that smells like cat urine.
Yeah.
Leon has quality controls in place. That requires longer term thinking.
Yeah.
So an example of this is some flippers, right, will say, we're buying this couch as is. And so if there are any problems with this couch, once money has exchanged hands, that's your problem. Other flippers who are thinking more long term may have a different policy. I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong, right? I'm just saying here's the contrast. A flipper that is thinking more about building a brand might have a generous return policy, which is like you get to inspect it on delivery, but there's also a 7-day window in which we will accept a return. You're going to take a loss up front, but the peace of mind that you're giving people, like, hey, like we know that maybe you don't catch everything, you don't see all the details when you first get the couch and inspect it, right? Maybe it takes some time to sit on it and realize this is not the couch for me. And we're willing to eat the cost of that as part of our business practice. That is long-term thinking. Once again, no right or wrong answer here. I'm not saying like you have to offer a return policy or you're not doing a good job. But I am saying if you want to build a positive perception around used furniture and the products that you're offering, you want to build a brand, you want to build a loyal audience, you really have to prioritize your customer before your profits.
Yes.
Customers first, the profits will come.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. What other, you mentioned, for example, emailing and you also mentioned marketplace. What could be other ways of reaching more and new audiences? How can be other ways to brand and sell the couches?
Yeah. Okay. So I was talking with a flipper the other day, and he told me something very interesting, which is based on who he picked the couch up from, he could predict with like a surprising amount of accuracy who was going to buy the couch. If he bought like an IKEA sectional from like some college students, then very likely the person who buys that IKEA sectional from is going to be some college students. If he buys like a vintage velvet couch from some hippies, the person who buys that vintage velvet couch also going to be some hippies. If he buys a large five-piece sectional from an affluent family, he's going to sell that five-piece sectional to an affluent family. And so what I think it means to me is that depending on the style of couch, there's a kind of consumer that gravitates towards that style of couch. So it's really, as you start like carving out a niche for yourself, understanding who your audience is. Like you don't want to be selling every couch to every person. That is probably not the most effective way to build a brand and grow a business. That might be good for maximizing transactions on Facebook Marketplace, where you're only dealing with a single customer a single time, and you don't expect to have a continued relationship beyond that. But if you want to build a business, it's all about understanding who your customer is, who you're focused on, where they hang out, how they spend their free time, what their tastes are, and how you can curate a selection of inventory that is relevant to them. Going higher level, or going back to the original question, like what are some different marketing ideas? I would say it depends on the niche that you want to get into. And knowing your niche, knowing your advantage is very important from the perspective of how do I build a brand? And then from there, you can extrapolate. So if you're going for college students, maybe you start flyering college campuses, especially during the critical move in, move out times. If you're going for lower income families, right? Like where do they hang out? What sort of, topics are they consuming? And you can market to them directly. You can do like some digital advertising, print advertising. That's where you can get more creative. So in order to answer your question more effectively, I would say first, you'd have to tell me who you're going after and what your niche is.
Yeah. Charles, my phone, it's about to die.
No, it's all good. We had great chatting with you today. I hope I was able to add some value.
Thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure to talk with you and EV Team Flip. I appreciate a lot the time that you give me today.